Good morning, everyone. Tractorman 44 here. You know, we live out in the middle of the country, and neighbors are fairly close, but nothing like they are in a neighborhood. But you get to build some friendships with certain neighbors, and you rely on them to help you, and you kind of pay that favor either forward or backwards by going and helping them with some stuff. I had a buddy at last year. I think it was, I don't know, it was before cold weather, probably in the middle of summer last year. He was going to build him a 40 by 60 pole barn. Asked me if I could set trusses for him. Well, I'd built me a jib for an old 580 case, a 73 580 case. Bought it from a cousin of mine that bought it new, and I told him, yeah man, I can bring the jib down. We'll go ahead and put it on the tractor. I got the tractor down at one of my daughter's house. She lives on a lake, and this is on lake property on the other side that my buddy's got. So we went down, we assembled that jib, and went on over and set his trusses last year. Well, May of this year, he wanted to extend that shed out a little bit. Asked me if I could save him a few more trusses because he's going to convert that 40 by 60. He'd poured another knee wall and poured concrete. He's extending that out another, I don't know, I guess 20 some odd feet or something, maybe 24 foot. I don't remember. We needed to set about 6 trusses. I said, yeah, man, no problem. The old tractor's still down there, so I had to throw the jib in the truck and go on down there and take a look, and and go ahead and do that for him. But at any rate, I'll try to describe that jib to you. At any rate, what I done, I took some old salvaged black iron pipe, 3-inch schedule 40 and 2.5-inch schedule 40, and I made me a somewhat of a telescoping jib that fits inside the bucket and triangulates up to that jib down to the corners of the buckets where I've got my hooks welded in, to give it its strength and support. You can kind of bind it in real good with those ratcheting chain binders. But at any rate, that's what I built, and I didn't know exactly what the capacity is, so I figured 40-foot truss, it's going to be a 2x4 truss. Heck, it ain't going to be a couple hundred pounds, maybe 220 pounds or so. So we went down there and set them in there for him. Had my daughter down there, so she took a couple of little videos, and that's what you're going to see. First part of the video, you're going to see it's kind of awkward looking, but once I pick the trusses up, I've got to actually lower and go underneath the temporary power line. So every one of them is just a pain in the butt. The truss guy was not supposed to set them there. We wanted them set on this side of the power line, but obviously that wasn't the case, so we had to work with what we had to work with. But basically what I've done, I've taken a 2,000-pound ATV winch, and I mounted it to the rollover protection, the cab above the operator. Bolted in there with 5/16 grade 8 bolts. It's good and sturdy. It's not gonna break or anything like that. And then I put the forward and reverse controls on that on my shuttle shifter on the OKs, and then that way I can index my cable up and down, to elevate the truss. Once I get the hydraulics in the position I need them to be in, and it worked out really quite well. Like I said, last year's the first time I ever set trusses with it. I set trusses on my pole barn here, but my brother was down. He's an old operator, so he actually ran a tractor at my house to set trusses on my new shed, and that's actually the reason why I built this back in the early part of 2016, was entirely to set the trusses on my shed. So at any rate, it worked out really, really well. So I'm going to take you out there, and I don't have the tractor here, so I'm going to have to just kind of show you the thing in pieces and try to describe it. Once you see the description and then see it in the on the tractor in operation, you'll understand a little bit better. Okay, I'll try to do it justice in the description. If you start off down at the bottom, you see like a 3x3 angle iron with a couple of bridge bolts stuck through it. That 580 case has got a 5/16 webbing welded across a portion of the middle of the bucket, for strength. And so that was very simple to blow a couple of holes in and attach that with those bridge structural bolts right there. They're 3/4 inch. And at the same time, you line up those with the webbing. This funny looking thing here, this elevated piece right here, that's a chunk of 2-inch wide by 1/2 inch, half inch strap iron, and then that's a 1/4 inch webbing that it's welded to, and then also to the bottom pole. And as the 2 holes down here align, this webbing right here slides right over the top of the outside of the bucket, or the back of the bucket, and then you can't see, maybe, well, you can. I got a little over 3/4 inch holes bored in there, and then right through the center of the top of the bucket where I've got a big plate. It's a plate of 1/2 inch steel where I put a center lifting eye there, or lifting hook. Those align with 2 holes that I drilled and tapped 3/4 threads to, and so you get 4 3/4 inch coarse thread bolts that attach this to the top of the bucket and to the webbing on the inside of the bucket. So it's really fairly stable. So at any rate, this is essentially 3-inch black iron pipe, and that 3-inch black iron pipe goes all the way up to, well, you can see a couple of holes there and then a couple of welded eyelets. Okay, now the holes are for when you telescope the top part of it down inside. There's a 2.5 inch junction piece that actually telescopes down inside the 3-inch here, and then it's welded to a 3-inch there that extends yet another piece of 2.5 inch up at the top where it goes to that large pulley. So anyway, you telescope the 2.5 inch down inside where you can see the holes right about there, and another hole here, and you telescope that down and you just align it with whatever hole you want, and then bolt that through with 3/4 bolts that you see just stubbed right into there. Now this thing here right now is sitting on the ground is 18 feet long. So if you put 18 foot onto the about 11 foot that you can reach with the tractor standing on flat ground, you got roughly a 29-inch point from the top of that pulley all the way down to the ground. So it does a real good job. Now if you see that funny looking eyelets right there, those are 3/8 plate that I torched out to have multiple attachment points if I wanted, but I end up using just the 2 that I have up top that I've got the 2 log chains attached to. But I go ahead and lace it through there, hook it on itself, and bring the other ends of them down and attach the other end of the log chain right onto the hooks that I've got welded on 2 sides of the bucket, and then those chains have to be longer than what that distance is, so that you can take a chain binder and just hook it at 2 points on the chain, and then just start ratcheting that binder in. Do the same thing on the other side over here, ratchet that binder in, and you can actually just watch that A-frame come under stress. You can actually just bend that A-frame and put it under stress, get it perfectly in the center, and I mean, it is just stout as can be with the addition of that. I've got a 5/16 cable, might be a 1/4 inch aircraft cable that goes on that 2,000 pound ATV winch, and that's mounted like I described before up on the cab shield. Well, you know, the cable is real light, so when you push the down button, the cable doesn't want to go anywhere. So we had to come up with a way that you could pull that hook back down without having a rope tied onto it every time. So I've got a son-in-law. You know, everybody should have a son-in-law, especially one that's halfway decent, you know. Well, my son-in-law, being a high school teacher, he's always got some crazy projects for his students to keep them interested. They came out here one time, they built them a trebuchet, and they were launching pumpkins, and they were launching watermelons, whatever they could find. And so finally come up with an 8-pound bowling ball from the local bowling alley, and that's what they started launching. So at any rate, I took that bowling ball, because obviously the trebuchet is torn down now, and I drilled me a hole all the way through from one side to the other, and run a 5/16 all thread all the way through it. Now that has a function. Skill saw cut me a groove in there, so I could very easily slip this over the top of the 1/4 or 5/16 cable, whatever it is on the winch. And once I slide that cable all the way down, you know, to the bottom of that hole, I'm able to lock it in place by sliding the all thread through the bowling ball. And so now I got me a headache ball. Every time I push the down pressure or the down arrow on the winch, the cable comes to the ground. Don't have to tie a rope on it. It's no aggravation, no problem whatsoever. Well, anyway, I hope I did it justice trying to describe it without it actually being attached onto the front of the tractor. But hopefully, you get the gist of what I got going on here. It is extremely stable. It is extremely safe. That cable has got to be rated for well over. It's an aircraft cable, and the winch is 2,000 pound. Hell, it's got to be rated for a heck of a lot more than that. So there's absolutely no danger whatsoever. I don't think anything I can pick up with it's going to bend this 2.5-inch black iron that telescopes into 3-inch black iron. I don't think my grade 8 bolts or my bridge bolts are going to break off. I know this super duper chain that I use for logging. I know none of those links are going to break. So I think it's got a pretty good safety factor built into it. So at any rate, I hope y'all enjoyed it. And this Tractor Man 44, and I am out of here.